Our focus for this session will be on the opportunity of high-value processing linked to farm forestry in Kenya. The big question we ask ourselves is, can the farm forestry resource base be utilized to close the gap between the supply and demand of timber in the industry? So that's the question that we've been asking ourselves, and from the research work that has been done so far, it's clear that the farm forestry resource base has an estimated area of over 300,000 hectares. And from the data presented this morning by KFS, the commercial side of public plantations is roughly 152,000 hectares, and the private plantations is roughly 94,000 hectares. So both of them combined are less than the farm forestry. So this is why we want to tap into the farm forestry resource base. And to quantify the farm forestry resource base, we also apply remote sensing work, and this is through the geospatial technology. So we have specialists in our team who go through this technology, and they can dive deeper into this information from our stands. Once you see the Gatsby stand, you can just pass by and get more information from us. But here is a sample data of Bungoma, where this data presents the location of that area. You also get the volume of standing timber, so you can easily calculate or make an investment decision using the remote sensing tool. The other challenges in looking into the farm forestry sector are two major challenges. So one is looking into the quality of standing trees. So when it comes to the sawn timber value chain, we have to have quality timber for you to get high recovery rates and apply this to high value markets. So that's something that needs to be looked into, and this is where our production services come in, and we look into the germplasm of what is being planted through the seedlings produced. Then the harvest and haulage models have to be looked into, because when it comes to farm forestry, the resource base is spread out widely in a small area. And with this in mind, the logistics has to be calculated well for you to make the investment decision to either invest in these logistics or hire out the current players in the market to just do your logistics. So these are the two major areas that we need to focus on as we answer the questions around linking farm forestry into high value markets. So yeah, this is just a brief summary of how we can compare the farm forestry resource base to the other plantations. And it's clear that in Western and Rift Valley, we have the highest number of farm foresters, and this gives us an opportunity to look into investments in sawmilling in these two regions. So the current technology that is being used is not applicable for sawn timber industry because the recovery rates are quite low. And as we've seen in the previous presentation, farm foresters feed into the small sawmillers, and the small sawmillers have a recovery rate of as low as 20%. This means that they are wasting a lot of timber, and this feeds into the low value markets. But if we want our farm forestry resource base to feed into the high value markets, and this can also be the export markets, then we have to look into new technologies. So as an example of the new technology is the use of the twin vertical saw line, which can be used for eucalyptus sawing. And when you use the twin vertical saw line, you can be able to manage the stresses when cutting the wood timber. And this means that you will reduce warping and cracks and eventually feed your output into the high value markets. So the optimized sawmilling process is divided into 3 stages. That is the wet mill, where you just have your logs and saw them. Then we have the drying process, or by using the kiln drying tools. Then lastly, we have the dry milling, where we apply finger jointing, because now you can add value to your timber by removing knots and advancing that timber to clears. So meaning that you can sell it for higher prices as opposed to just selling your timber from the wet mill as it is. So we've been able to model out the analytics behind this kind of optimized technology. And we have the numbers to, for example, talk about what are the margins, what do you need, for example, to invest in terms of the CapEx, and what are the OpEx involved in the new technology. So because of time, I will rush through, but our conclusion is that the farm forestry resource base can indeed be used for closing the gap between supply and demand in the wood industry. And in our Kenya Commercial Forestry Program, that's essentially what we are looking into especially eucalyptus, because it's quite evident that it's, you can easily get eucalyptus in the farm forestry sector, as opposed to pine and cypress, because eucalyptus can mature within 8 to 10 years in terms of the rotation period, but pine and cypress can take over 15 years.